Welcome to What If Deku Was Technoblade. Like and sub and check the author out. "4 hours after the meeting, Izuku brought all of those who volunteered for the plan. He wouldn't force people to do this, but a surprising amount of heroes volunteered to join them. Alright. You have the gold, right? I still don't understand why we need this. Nether traversal is dangerous. It eliminates risk. Is this necessary? We won't traverse the distance without him knowing. And it's the fastest method. Come on." When they entered the portal, many were surprised by what Izuku commonly walked through. "You use this place for transportation?" "Yes." They walked on the path, getting closer to the village. While in the village ahead, make sure the gold you have is visible. They will only attack if you don't have any. Katsuki was going to complain, but was forced to keep his mouth shut. Grumbling after the fact, he followed suit. They passed through with no complaints. As they followed the path, they came to a three-way fork in the road. "Alright, this is where we split. Team Zeta, follow the right path until you reach the portal. Beta and Delta, you will follow the left path until the second portal. Do not leave the path, as without preparation, exploring this place is incredibly dangerous. Understand?" They agreed. "Good. Team Alpha. Follow me." Class 1A agreed, minus Bakugo. He was deemed a liability, so put with Zeta, which would have a ton of combat opportunities. "You never explained the plan to us?" "Right, Beta and Delta teams will portal to the front and cause chaos for the villain forces. Zeta will portal to the other side of the city in a pincer movement. We will be heading to the main objective. While All for One is distracted by the two attacks, we will infiltrate the old Hero Commission building, capture it while the others distract them, and kill All for One. Nothing beyond that? The simplest plans are often the best. Why choose us, then? We're making a pit stop before our attack. And I only trust your class out of all of them. I've known you the longest. And it's why I requested Katsuki not come with me." They arrived at the portal, and entered through it. This portal made them arrive at the place Izuku and Izumi left from on the first trip. A worn-down old apartment building, but close to the target building. You could see it rise above the block over, in fact. "Why are we here?" "Closest portal I've got. And I've got a surprise for you. Remember my lessons during the time I was there?" "Yeah. I gave you weapons training for this very reason." He approached a bookshelf, and pulled on a particular book. Mechanisms whirred as they powered on and slowly opened the wall next to the bookshelf, revealing armors on stands and chests full of gear. "This is the vault. Grab all the gear you'll need, as much as you can carry." "Holy shit. What is this even made from? Potions? What do these all do?" "Most of them are buffs. Strength, fire resistance, regeneration, instant health. The works." Just then, explosions sounded in the distance. Izuku rushed to the nearest window and checked outside. Armies of villains were sent to deal with the diversions. "Alright, they're being sent out now. Gear up as quickly as you can. We attack soon." "Roger that." The few villains told to guard the place were bored out of their minds. "Ugh. Why couldn't we go with? There is literally nothing to do here. We do what the boss says." They were interrupted by a lone figure walking towards the door. The female villain recognized him. "That's the Blade. Boss says whoever gets his head gets a ton of loot. Kill." Just then, a rain of arrows broke through the glass, shredding the two guards to ribbons. Silently, he motioned for them to move up. And 1A got out from their cover. Slowly advancing with crossbows loaded, they picked up what bolts they could retrieve quickly, before moving up through the stairs. Izuku smiled, content at seeing things finally fall his way for once. A foe had begun his next phase. When Toga realized what he was doing to her bestie, she attacked him. To her detriment. She was now just a blood stain on the floor, a fitting end for a bloodthirsty girl such as her. He didn't believe that the heroes could enlist foreign help before his plan was finished, but he didn't want to take extra risk. He kept Muscular and Kurogiri with him, as proper bodyguards. Sir. We may have trouble. I can't raise the lookouts on the ground floor. Muscular, go find out what has happened. Can I pulverize the rats when I catch them? Sure. It'll give you some entertainment. As they made their way up, Kaminari started to complain. Why would they make this building so tall? There's too many stairs. Maybe so that people like you would complain. Quiet. The two shut up as they continued upwards. Until they reached the 20th floor, when the door echoed footsteps. We're not alone. Alpha Team, you check it out, secure the room. Right. We're going to go to a foe. See you soon. The two of them made it to the top. Only to find a foe on a throne, and Tenka bound by some ethereal chains, clearly in agony. Red dotted the floor, indicating this would not be the first battle. Izumi was going to speak, but a foe beat her to the punch. So, Blade, we meet again. This time as enemies. Indeed. And Izumi Yagi. Toshinori's spoiled child. She was slightly demoralized, but Izuku put his hand on her shoulder, and motioned his head. Get her out of the chains. She nodded, and dashed over to her. She may have had a good childhood, but that doesn't define her. Indeed, Izuku Yagi, it does not. How long have you known? It was easy to figure out. But now it doesn't matter, because I will make sure you'll never wake again. You have already lost, Yagis. Don't count on it yet. Izuku dashed towards a foe and started the battle. Tenka hissed at Izumi when she approached, her voice laced. You. I hate you. You are the reason he suffered so much. And you can't even look me in the eyes. I already know that. I've always been a horrible sister, she cried, and nothing can ever make up for that. I know that in my heart. I will do anything to atone for him. He's deserved so much better, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Tenka looked down at her scathingly. However, she soon sighed. What does he see in you? I will never know. Looking down from exhaustion, please. I don't have much strength left. I've resisted as much as I can. I'll try. Izumi gripped one of the chains and started to pull it apart. They slid, refusing her grip, refusing to break. These are the result of a quirk. And can only be broken through a quirk. Shit. Izuku can break these with his tools. As soon as the two had left, the Class 1A, Bakugo, entered the room too. Nothing. Check everywhere. Report back if you find anything. No need to. Muscular broke through the wall like a wrecking ball. I'm here. Everyone scatter. Kirishima ordered as he tanked the first hit, thrown into the wall. Look for a weakness. Haha, you think you can beat me? That's Muscular, isn't it? He was at the training camp. Right. Izumi beat him with only 5%. We can do just as well. Yeah, right. He punched Mineta into a small group of them. He turned to Jiru, the next closest person. She thought aloud as she dodged his fists. Muscles are weak against a current. Kaminari, you're up. Right. He used his support weapon to latch a few small metal discs onto the villain. As if that'll do anything. The electric kid then unleashed a massive electus surge, arcing to the discs and coursing thousands of volts through Muscular, his muscles spazzing out due to the frying of his nerves. Screaming bloody murder, he fell to the floor, exhausted and out like a blown bulb. Whoa. You good, Denki? Yeah. He was panting with his own exhaustion. What should we do with him? We can't leave him here. I can't believe I lost to a bunch of kids. Everyone looked back at him. He couldn't move due to temporary paralysis. You're right. We can't leave him behind. To run away later. What would Sensei do? He would not let him leave alive. They looked at him with cold eyes. They also killed Kota's parents, and tried to kill Izumi. Why, you're heroes. Right? Muscular, this is war. We can't afford to lose. We also can't afford prisoners. They approached, the villain screaming as the class approached him. Class 1A looked over their handiwork. Right, should we go up? No. Our orders were to secure the building, and make sure Izuku can get to his target. We will look out for any villainous forces, and buy as much time as we can. Alright. I don't think I can be a hero after this conflict, mon ami. It's not what any of us realized would need to happen, but Izuku knew. Come on, it's almost over. Izuku was holding his own, but he was also faltering. The sheer number and unpredictability of the quirks Ifo could use was too much. His exhaustion made it impossible for him to dodge anymore. Well, it looks like we are both at our limit. I'm sure Toshinori would be proud. Or not. After all, he was able to put me into the ground when I was stronger than this. He grinned. I'm not after his approval. You know that. And besides, why bring Toshinori, when I have someone much better? Izumi rushed in and clocked him in the head. Slamming into the floor, he sat up, unable to get to his feet. He noticed Izuku was still exhausted on the floor. Hey, try avoiding this. He set up a particular combo of quirks. Wide-eyed, Izuku could do nothing as the lethal attack aimed at him. But before he could do anything, Izumi got in between Izuku and the attack, taking it full force. The light from it blinded him, and he couldn't see if she was alright. Until it was over. Not even ash remained. A few purple particles fell to the floor, leftovers from the attack, but Izumi was gone. Ifo was exhausted, laughing his head off as his biggest threat was gone. Now it was just Izuku, Tenka, and Ifo, and he had a trick up his sleeve. The chains on Tenka shattered, but she still cried in pain. Ifo gave a single command. Kill the blade. She stood to her feet, a new emotionless look on her face, but her eyes betrayed her pain. What did you do to her? My plan was to impart my successor with the tools to succeed. My quirk, my collection, my soul. Izuku paled. You. It is too late. Even if you make me quirkless with that bullet you smuggled here, I will be reborn within her. When Tenka was less than a foot to Izuku, she clutched her head and screamed. Get out of my head. Getting to his feet, Izuku shuffled over to her, and pulled her into a hug. Izuku. I can only resist him for a few minutes. I need you to kill me while you have the chance. I can't. Izuku. He'll win. The world will fall to the biggest tyrant and he'll be unbeatable. Izuku. Please. I'll do it. But I will never forget our dream. That is all I ask. Izuku then angled the blade before shoving it under her ribcage up into her heart. He could feel her blood on his hands, and he wept. Before I leave, can I have one final kiss? Anything for you. They embraced, both crying in one final kiss before Tenka let go, and the last breath left her body. The weight of her corpse weighed him down, and he fell to his knees, still holding on to her, crying over her shoulder. Nezu was analyzing some reports when he heard a knock at the door. Come in. Toshinori was outside, holding coffee for himself, and tea for him. How was the mistakes plan? The heroes at the front and pincer movements are doing well, all things considered. They are bunkered in defensive points. We have lost communication with Alpha Group, but what little has made it through the chatter seems promising. We will now be able to focus on reconstruction. Indeed. Tea? Yes, thank you. He accepted the cup. Honey, chamomile, and a touch of almonds? An unusual choice. It was what I could find. It is delicious. Thank you. As they talked, however, ice began to spread through Nezu's veins, and his throat constricted. What is? Sorry Nezu, but with the future as uncertain as it is, I will need to take a more direct approach to public safety. You are a liability. I'm surprised you didn't associate the almond flavor with the cyanide I put in there. I don't like using poison, but drastic times and all of that. Goodbye, Nezu. He left the room as Nezu struggled, foam gripping his mouth as he shuddered and died in his own office. Ifo was amazed, but also disheartened. You actually did it. Izuku carefully put her down, then stood to face Ifo. Walking closer, he flourished his blade, dragging it along the floor. Do you have any idea what you've done? Do you? Izuku spat. I've spent all my life fighting for my life, and when I finally get someone to fight for, you take them away from me. You will suffer. All for One screams could be heard from the bottom floor. Alpha Group was terrified when they heard those words and the screams. It seemed to go on, forever. But then they stopped as suddenly as they started. A verbal message on an open frequency sounded throughout Japan, and they were then relieved to hear what it said. Attention all villains currently fighting the heroes. This is Technoblade, the vigilante. I regret to inform you that I have installed All for One's head on a pike at his ivory tower. Now, if you want to live, surrender now. To show that I have indeed finished him off, I will detonate the building, so that nothing of him remains. We have won the war. Izuku carried Tenka's corpse in a bridal fashion, walking carefully out a back door of the ruined Hero Commission. The class had reported to him and set charges within the building. Inko had arrived to provide assistance. Great job at defeating a foe. Wait, where's Izumi? Gone. A foe hit her with an attack meant for me. Not even ashes remain. Oh God. And is that? He collected himself, his eyes still streaming tears. This is Tenka Shimura. She was my fiancée. And she died because I wasn't fast enough. Izuku. Izumi's dead, and I had to kill Tenka because I was too slow. If I was faster, she wouldn't have had his soul eating away at her mind. It wasn't meant to be. Inko hugged him. Izuku. There wasn't anything that could have been done. Nobody knew the whole picture, and that often stops us from acting. I'm so sorry. Tears streamed down her face as she mourned the loss of her daughter and the girl who would have been her daughter-in-law. We had victory. But what did we win? I don't know yet. Toshinori is celebrating our victory with all of the other heroes, but Nezu's missing. Things don't feel quite right. Your students feel it too. I'll go to them in a moment. Don't worry about letting out your tears. I just need to store her body until I can bury it properly. He set her down gently, then retrieved 2 chests from his inventory, making a makeshift casket. Izuku then placed everything into his inventory. Then, following his mother, he found Toshinori giving a speech at a refugee camp about victory and the cost of having to fight evil. But something wasn't quite right. It is incredible what has been accomplished by all of you here today. All for One, an ancient villain, is gone. The League is destroyed. But there is still much to do. Everyone agreed. Which is why I am immediately starting with the institutions. By bringing back the structure and stability of government institutions, we can rebuild at a faster rate, before villains can recover from this shocking blow. Izuku hated what he just heard. To Inko, he said, it was because of the bureaucracy of the government that this happened in the first place. Why is he rebuilding that? Inko couldn't help but agree. The system had failed her son, and failed Tenka. I don't know. Kirishima and the rest of Class 1A- Bakugo walked over to them. Are you both alright? We're fine. Where's Izumi? She didn't make it. Oh. They were now guilty because they didn't accept her countless apologies about her past. And now it was too late. Neither did who I was trying to save. They went silent as Toshinori began to speak again. While All for One has left me scarred, my resolve to help the people has never been stronger. More thunderous applause from the heroes. Why is this familiar to me? Is he pulling from history? To ensure safety of all and increased stability, we will reform this democracy into a pro-hero state, for a safe and secure society. Tyranny. Izuku was seething. The applause was deafening. The rest of the class looked at him, Kirishima asking, "What is it?" "This is how liberty dies." With thunderous applause. "And I won't stand for it." "What are you going to do?" "What I have to." He walked around towards a mostly empty area. Then he called out to them all. "Is this what you really want? Corruption and power?" Katsuki, standing next to the podium Toshinori spoke from, called back. "This is All Might. What he has done for the people is incredible. He should be trusted with our safety. Many heads nodded in agreement. Do you appreciate what is happening here? The heroes just did a coup against a tyrannical dictator, and you all are immediately putting another on the throne. Is that what you want? He let the people murmur before continuing on. Let me tell you a story. One of a man named Theseus. He was a ruler of a kingdom long ago. Well, a city-state, technically, but when his city was in danger, he volunteered, going forth to defeat the great evil, to slay the Minotaur. Do you know what happened next? Everyone remained silent. He had everything he wanted. But it wasn't enough. He went to the ends of the earth, attempting to kidnap the wife of Hades himself. He lived long enough to become a villain, a tyrant who believed he was untouchable. His hubris let him die in disgrace, despised by his people. The Greeks knew the score. You die a hero, or live long enough to become a villain. And in this society, that only becomes more apparent. Katsuki boasted proudly, I will always be a hero. You want to be a hero, Katsuki? That's fine. He turned away from them for a moment. Unease settled through the crowd. The last of the civilians were evacuated from the camp, so only heroes remained. You want to be a hero, Katsuki? Then die like one. Izuku then appeared to summon lighting, and when the dust settled, twin creatures made of black bone, approximately 3 meters tall with 3 heads, loomed over the crowd of heroes, Katsuki and Toshinori. They had no arms or legs, and hovered in the air. One roared, and it began to fire smaller skulls from its mouths, which detonated on contact. It was pure chaos. As the heroes fended off the withers, Izuku started to leave. He knew they were going to be busy, as they were very difficult to defeat due to their health and durability. As he left, he found himself stopped by Class 1A. Well? What will you do now? Leave. There is nothing for me here. I have a fiancé to bury. And just go. We'll divert them. Are you sure? Positive. Kirishima was supportive. I know for a fact you are trying to do the right thing. We'll support you. All right. Get your families out of here before the real lockdown of power starts. The class nodded, then dispersed, pretending to search for him. They're a bunch of good people. I just hope nothing bad happens to them in the meantime. I want his head. He not only disrupted the speech, but he also sowed doubt in the people. The remaining people who could still function rushed to get infrastructure going again. To Katsuki, he shouted, find, and bring Izuku back. I want to publicly execute him for what he's done to us. Don't worry, I will. After a month of reconstruction, Inko now realized the true tyranny Toshinori envisioned for the future. She was determined to find out what happened. Toshi. Why are you doing all of this? Doing what, Inko? All of this, the crackdown on civil freedoms and rights. We need to keep the people safe. This is the best method. It is the method that tyrants used in the past. It will not work. Why are you following the mistakes line of reasoning? The mistake? Toshi, he's your son. He is not my son. Why do you hate him so much? He isn't quirkless anymore. For Christ's sake, he is our only living child. He almost committed suicide because of you. Good. He needed to think on his actions. Why did you never admit to our faults? You praised Izumi so much and then. It's simple. No child of mine is quirkless. You are quirkless too. Do you hate yourself? I sacrificed everything to save the world. Do not speak to me of that. She looked at him horrified. So, you are beyond reasoning now. I need time to myself. You will not leave. Guards. Escort her to a private room. Izuku had a home far from Tokyo, in the middle of the snowy mountainside of Fuji. It was a place they had put their time into. He built it following Tenka's design. And what surprised him most what the guest he found waiting for him. It was a small puppy, an adorable little thing. A small tricolor corgi, just like the dog she had lost as a child. Hugging it gently, he sat by the grave he had made for Tenka. I will fulfill your wish. But I don't want to be seen as the villain. I have given the heroes one last chance to leave me alone. I want to stay with you, but I understand that is not their intention, and the peace will be broken soon. Thank you for everything." He brought the puppy inside. Its name was Moan, a personally significant name to Tenka. As he gave them food, a green glitchy note appeared on the kitchen counter. Picking it up, he read it. "Izuku, be careful. They have found you, and will send a specialized group after you. Toshinori won't let me leave. And wants you dead. If you surrender to them, you will die. Please, flee while you can. Love, Inka." Damn. Not even a month's rest. Even so, I can't leave this place. I fear what they would do to Tenka. Especially if he's involved. Waiting at his desk, he looked out the window. Moan hopped around him, before he picked him up and put the puppy on his lap, petting them absent-mindedly. For a few hours, nothing happened as Moan fell asleep, happy from the attention. Then a new glitching effect, this time purple, dropped a note on his desk again. "They arrive. Be ready. I." He stared at the note. I? If it was Inko. Then why not put her whole name? Maybe she was in a rush. And when he looked out into the fog-covered mountainside, he saw the silhouettes of people walking towards the house. I'll have to put that aside for now. Quickly equipping his gear, cape, mask and crown, he exited his lodge. Approaching the group, he asked, "Why have you come to this place?" As he feared, Bakugo turned out to be the leader of the hunting party, who was primarily made up of Class B. "You are under arrest for fucking attacking us at the end of the war, Deku. I tried to reason with you, but you supported him, and now look at what has become of Japan. Tyranny and corruption, just as I said." Class B looked uncomfortable with being retold the truth they lived, but Kendo tried to reason to Izuku, "Look, you will be coming with us. To face trial. That wouldn't be a trial. That would be an execution. I will ask you to leave and never return. If you want me to stay away, then I will stay right here, in self-imposed exile." Katsuki interrupted whatever Kendo was going to say. "You can either come with us, or we kill you here, fucking Deku. There is no other way?" She apologized. "Unfortunately. No. Then I choose blood." He slammed potion vials into the ground, and Class B had no idea what was going on. Neither did Katsuki, but he launched himself forward, only to get knocked aside. Panicking in confusion, Izuku took his chance by dashing into the group. He toyed with them as he tore them apart. Nyeto Monoma, Manga Fukadashi, Hiryurin, and Narangaki Shota were all felled in a matter of moments. He was just about to decapitate Tetsutetsu when Bakugo yelled at him, "Stop!" Izuku turned to Katsuki holding his puppy, aiming his palm at its head. Pointing his sword at him, Izuku called out, "Leave Moan alone, Katsuki. If you value your life you will leave him alone. Like you can make demands right now, Deku. Drop everything you have. I know you always have a trick up your sleeve. So don't try anything funny or the dog gets it. I give my word if you put them down. Only after you drop everything." He dropped his cloak, his armor, his weapons, even his tools, and allowed Reiko to float behind him and put him into quirk-canceling cuffs. "Good." He grinned. Katsuki still held the dog. "Please, Katsuki. I've done what you've asked. Put Moan down, please." "Why? Is this your fucking therapy dog?" He detonated his sweat, and the brains and skull fragments of the small puppy rained all over the crisp snow. A splatter covered half of his face. Everyone was horrified, but Izuku was furious. Crying quietly, he answered Katsuki's rhetorical question. "That was the last gift from Tenka. And you dare kill it right next to her grave. I will eviscerate you and feed you your own guts, you hear me, Katsuki? I will bleed you dry. Make you suffer 1,000 hells before you are allowed to die. That is my promise to you, right now. Oh, shut up." He walked over and punched him in the face, knocking him out. Izuku woke up in a cell. "You're awake." A feminine voice called out to him. It was familiar. Hi. I'm surprised you weren't more beaten up, to be honest. Izuku wiped his eyes, and when he saw her face, his eyes widened. Nurse? You were my nurse, back in middle school. I never knew you, Blade. Are you sure? My real name is Izuku. Izuku Yagi. What? She had a double take. Is my vision that bad? I swear you didn't look like that before. No, I admit, I look a lot different. After all, my back should have a crook that would have given a permanent limp. You still remember that day? That's the day Katsuki told me to jump and pray for a quirk. I guess he was right, in a way. That sick child. He's done a lot worse by now. And I'm going to make him suffer. A bit hard to do from in here. True. Where even is here? All Might's prison for political prisoners. You are a political prisoner? I was always outspoken against the terrible treatment of the quirkless. I guess that came back to bite me. A shame. Izuku was about to elaborate when guards arrived. All right, face the wall, hands behind you. They complied, giving each other a look. They put quirk-canceling cuffs on, and an abundance of chains in order to prevent any sudden movements. Not taking any chances? Smart. Quiet, you. It was Kendo. She had expressed her mixed feelings clearly. I gave you the chance to turn away. If you're going to blame anyone for your fallen classmates, blame Katsuki. He always got people killed, even from a young age. Shut up. She punched him with a slightly enlarged hand. It hurt like hell, causing 4 of his hearts to vanish. They recovered semi-quickly, though. You know who his first victim was? Me. He's always been a bully. One to torment those weaker than him. He told me to jump off a building because I was a late bloomer. Turns out, following his words got me to where I am now. If I didn't have my quirk, I would be dead, and Katsuki would be a hero in everyone's eyes. A dead hero. Probably crucified by a foe, left quirkless, the very thing he hated to be. So hate me for speaking the truth, Kendo, but direct your fury to where it belongs. They reached an elevator, and the 2 other guards took him away. They faced the Class B representative. Keep my words in mind, student, follow what you know to be right, and you'll never die in vain. Because one day, you'll inspire others to follow in your footsteps. The door closed, and he breathed. The guards didn't care what he said, as it appeared to be pointless, given the circumstances. The lift went up to a bright arena. Toshinori was already speaking. What he said before didn't matter, but what he said now would, and Izuku honed in on the words. Now, before you, is the vigilante, no, the villain, who calls himself Technoblade. He is accused of attacking my very self, the heroes who would bring order and peace back to Japan after the death of All for One. He jeopardized our efforts, and sowed doubt in a time of turmoil. And now here he is, chained and exposed to the world for his crimes. We have countless eyewitnesses. So how will you plead? How do I plead? Toshinori, I don't plead anything. I declare that I have done those things. But I also killed All for One, built the plan you used, and you cast me aside. After all, who needs a blade after a war? In the end, I was right. And history will reflect that. If that is how you see things, I cannot change it. Take him to the cage. The guards led him over, as he proudly walked to it, showing strength when he had none to see. When they locked him in, Toshinori called out. Any last words before your execution? Here before the world lies a petty man, one who neglected his own child for being quirkless, who refused to see their own faults. Next to him, a bully who successfully killed his quarry. And yet, I, the defender of the innocent, of all kinds, am the one to take the blame, to be called the villain? If that is what it means to be a villain, I will gladly take the title, but do not confuse why they are doing this. I am the antithesis to all they stand for. Izuku Yagi may be dead, but Technoblade never dies. Chaos erupted as several explosions pocketed the facility, built to be viewed by the public to quell any rebellion, and failing miserably. A small group of disguised fighters attacked the guards, with Toshinori calling "Pull the lever, Katsuki! Pull the lever!" Katsuki, next to it already, pulled it down, releasing the anvil from its home. Quickly, Izuku took off the quirk-canceling cuffs and accessed his inventory, pulling out a rare creation. Just in time for the hunk of metal to break his skull apart. For the split second before the anvil landed, he saw an apparition of a girl. Tenka? However, the totem did its job. It pulled all of the sinew, bone and brains back together, and revived him back to life. Breathing heavily, he used the anvil to leap out of the cage, and started to run to one of the holes in the reinforced glass, before a figure with black hair and a distinctive scar waved at him. He wore a fabric mask with a small off-kilter smile on it. Not knowing who it was, he followed them into a tunnel within a nearby building. He recognized who it was when he spoke. "Nice speech, but we can't have you dying yet. Thanks for the save, Kiri." "Shh. Don't use my name. I've been going by an alias as of recently." "What is it?" "I'll tell you later. It's complicated." "Right. We'll see you later. Contact us if you need us." He nodded, and Kirishima left. However, Katsuki just arrived, out of breath. "Damn you, Deku. You thought you could kill me that easily?" He launched himself at him, but he was experimenting with feints. Izuku let him try, as he worked on crafting a proper weapon with the materials around him. "If you didn't have your little friends to help you out, you would be fucking dead already. You are ruining everything." "I'm ruining everything? I'm ruining everything? You have been my tormentor ever since 4. I would have been a cripple had I not unlocked my quirk. You killed my last connection to Tenka. You deserve to fucking suffer." Katsuki. When he made an iron sword out of the scrap metal found within the abandoned building, he finally executed his master stroke. When Katsuki went in for a haymaker, Izuku swiftly ducked and sliced his leg, forcing him to fall to his knee. Then he hit him in the back of the head, making him spin and fall to the floor. Katsuki was dazed from his head hitting the concrete floor, and Izuku walked over slowly. By the time he realized that Izuku was there, it was too late. He had already clasped both of his hands together, and when he instinctively detonated his sweat, it destroyed his hands in the process. They were mangled, broken and useless. Using his quirk would break them further. He screamed in pain and fear. "Well now you're the quirkless wretch. How does it feel to have the one thing you defined yourself as taken away from you? Not so nice, is it? Fuck you. You fucking Deku. You still haven't learned." "Ah, I know." With precision, he stabbed into his eyes, but not hard enough to kill him. "Now your inability to see through my movements has been made reality. But what else? How about this?" He traced along the ground with the sword, before raising it, and cutting off an arm at halfway through the humerus bone. "Now your dominant hand will be crippled. Or do you want that to be taken away too? You bastard. I will take away everything you have left before I'll fucking kill you." He had no energy, and was crying a mixture of tears and blood, unable to do anything against Izuku. Still no acceptance. No remorse. "I guess all you are is anger." He swiped one more time, taking off his other arm at the same spot. "All you'll ever do past this point is wither. Your soul, your mind, your emotions. Your life will wither away until all that's left is dust. And echoes of what you are." He walked away as Katsuki weakly cursed at him, left barely alive. Izuku called back to him a final time, "Next time I see you, I'll kill you. That is my promise. I will give you a chance to leave, before the devil is the only companion you'll have." Toshinori fumed. Izuku was dead, and Bakugo didn't report to him after chasing the mistake. He was about to call for a guard when Hawks entered the room. "Yo. Why are you here? We found that Bakugo kid. He was left barely alive." Quickly, Toshinori got up and left his office, wanting to see the condition his right-hand man had been left in. When he arrived, the head doctor gave a report. "Well, it's not looking good. Even if we are able to stabilize him, his arms have been cut off at the humerus bone, with a mild concussion and permanent blindness. His biggest threat right now is blood loss and blood poisoning, as the building he was found in would hardly be called sanitary. Just try your best. I will. Toshinori thanked the man, and waited for hours as they completed necessary treatment. When he was able to receive visitors, he entered the room. He had bandages over his eyes, his arms were completely covered, or the remnants are. It was pitiful, and Toshinori couldn't help but feel terrible for the boy. Who's there? This timid voice was nothing like the brash and confident voice of the Katsuki he knew. It's me, All Might. All Might. His voice was barely a whisper. Do you hate me like everyone else? Why would I hate you? You're strong, capable. Look at me. I've been beaten, again and again by that fucking Deku. He took my quirk away from me. He took my vision, my strength. How can I stand by your side like this? It's going to be difficult. But there may be a way. UA's support course can make the gear to restore what you have lost. I believe. But it will take work to learn them. Will you do it? For you? Anything. That is why I care for you, my boy. You're more a son to me than that mistake ever was. When this is all over, we'll both have our revenge and rule Japan. You're my successor, and I will always help you when I can. Thanks. He dozed off, and Toshinori could only tell based on his breathing pattern. Hey, good luck, my boy. You will definitely need it. Izuku was mentally ready to fight back. But he needed a very specific person freed before he could do anything. And this action right after his own bid for freedom would piss Toshinori off more than anything else. He spent 2 days building a fortress within the Nether, as a place only he could access. It was not built with a tower as the main structure, but as a solid one-story building, overlooking the Piglin village. His next move was to plan a route into the prison, with an extraction. His revolution depended on one person. If he couldn't get to them, then it was over. It was time to rescue a true hero. The best way to describe the situation of heroes of value was pitiful. Many did what they could with a newfound power bestowed upon them, but many fell to corruption. Endeavor told his family to leave as he stayed behind. Shoto Todoroki disobeyed, but Enji did not try to control his movements. After seeing who Toshinori was as a person, he vowed to never, ever try to best him in that department, and his family noticed this and respected his new actions. Natsuo didn't trust him fully, but that was a non-issue as they still complied with his request. However, there were those who were more defiant. Mirko and Native banded together to put forward their grievances in the old-fashioned method of talking directly to Toshinori about it, which put them directly into prison as traitors. Sharing a cell, they lost all hope. Izuku stared at the prison he'd been in less than a day before. Better prepared, he was going to enter the way they least expect. By knocking on the front door. What's the schedule for today? Prisoner breakfast at 0900, then back to their cells, then dinner at 2000 hours. The usual. Good, that's how it should be. An explosion rocked the facility as the guards tried to figure out what was going on. Where did that come from? The front gate. Get me eyes on who did it. As soon as the cameras cleared of dust, they saw him stride right in. The blade? Shit, send out an alert for reinforcements. The alarms blared as he entered the prison. Striding through, he met little meaningful resistance. Perhaps because this prison was for political prisoners. Instead of dangerous threats, they were underprepared and understaffed. He tried to let them have a chance to leave, but that resulted in many deciding bringing him down would be a better idea. Wandering the halls, he found the cell he was looking for. Opening it, he found the heroes Native and Mirko in the middle of an argument. Native looked done with it, while she was still adamant, and that's why carrots are the best vegetable. Izuku sighed, "Are you done?" They turned, surprised. "Why are you here?" "I'm here for him. Do you want to come too, Mirko?" "Sure, I'm tired of sitting around." She jumped to her feet and stretched. Native also got up. I need a weapon. What can you use? I'm skilled with a bow and axe. Izuku handed him the tools, plus a quiver of arrows, all spares he always kept on him. I don't care about those. Just use them. Thanks. Come on, let's go. They dashed through the facility, causing chaos as the group released prisoners along the way. Taking their cue to run, the prisoners caused the remaining guards to lose focus on the main reason. Except for one. When they reached the main gate, the warden waited for them. With a hostage. Nurse had been captured, with a gun to her head. Surrender now, Blade, or the prisoner gets it. Native, Mirko, get to the white building 2 blocks away. I'll be with you soon. Okay? The two left. Using a hostage? Not very heroic. I know you're Mo. You are a vigilante, not a villain. You care about other people's lives. If I can stop you here. Izuku readied himself, he was visibly unchanged, but tense. He selected a crossbow in order to have a quick draw. Don't worry about me. If you are captured, all is lost. He looked at the man. If you were to do one thing to get onto death's shortlist, would you do it? What? Let her go and let's settle this like rational people. Not cowardly little rats. I can't do that. Bruh, you have nothing to be afraid of. Because you're dead either way. Look at it this way, Warden, if you kill her, then I can kill you no problem. If you let her go, I have less reason to want to kill you. Will you surrender? Maybe. Drop your weapons. Let me see your hands. No, let her go first. I won't let another Katsuki wannabe betray my trust like that. Be in good faith, and I will be in good faith. The warden thought about it for a moment, then unhanded the old woman. Nurse, go to the white building with the others. Now, stay there. Izuku moved faster than he could react. His crossbow wasn't loaded with a bolt, but rather a strange-looking sphere. When it landed, he teleported to its location, which happened to be right behind the man, and stabbed him through the heart. Child abusers, tyrants, cowards. They all deserve hell. Go meet your friends there for me. I just followed directives. That doesn't exonerate you. Rest in pain, Warden. No. My daughter. I'm sorry. He died. His daughter is probably in a similar situation to the heroes' families. But I can't afford to chase loose ends. After all, I have a rabbit to chase. Toshinori had waved aside the warden's call for reinforcements. He had more important matters to attend to. His top scientists at UA's support wing and workers from Shield Industries have been working around the clock to restore Katsuki's sight. And it was set back by failure multiple times. David Shield, his best friend from the island, grimly told him another report. Sir, we're ready for the next test. All right. Do it. He nodded, and started the testing sequence. Calibrating. Success. Booting up. Success. Neural link. Established. All lights are green. Commencing. The tech in Katsuki's eyes blazed to life, a vibrant red color, matching what used to be his eye color. They turned, as if able to see. Katsuki, my boy. Can you see? I can. David, what's the status? It's stable, working on every front. It looks like a success. How are you feeling, Katsuki? The initial pain is going away. Does it hurt to look in different directions? No. Great. He turned to his friend. How long would he need for the therapy to get used to them? About a week, maybe 2 if complications arise. Perfect? Toshinori was caught up in the moment, missing the fact that Shield gave him a glance. It said every emotion he thought about his old friend. How he had fallen so far, become the evil he swore to destroy, hated the quirkless, those like his daughter. It was disgust, disdain, but also disappointment. Izuku never got that level of care. This could have been avoided had he just been a better person. Just then, a guard came into the room, running to Toshinori and whispering something to him. Angered, he shouted, why the hell wasn't he supported? Under threat of death, The guard responded back, "With all due respect, sir, you cancelled the reinforcement order. I am only the messenger." In a calculated move, he smoothly brushed off the guard's shield as if there was dust. "No, you're right. I made a mistake. Send reinforcements to the prison, and report back the damage and who is missing." "Something wrong, Toshi?" "Just a hiccup. Nothing more." "I hope it is just that." "So do I, old friend, so do I." Native, Mirko, and nurse waited in the white building that had been indicated for 10 minutes. "What should we do? It's clear he got beaten. I've known that kid far longer than any of you. He will get through this." Already discussing leaving? They jumped and found him in the doorway. "Don't do that again, young man. My heart can't take many scares like that." "I won't. This place is hardly safe. We are not staying here. This is the rendezvous. Come on, our exit is downstairs." They followed him, unsure of what he meant. The only thing downstairs is the basement, and this one is isolated. Then they saw the massive obsidian gate. "What is that?" Izuku lit it with sparks, and the purple film of the portal opened. Tossing 3 orange-colored potions, he only said 4 words. "Drink up. Follow me." And so they did, through the portal. A week passed. Izuku carefully nursed the rest of them back to proper health. They had not been kept in great condition, as 2 small meals a day was making them wither away from hunger. Izuku didn't wear the mask around the nurse, who he was currently visiting. "How are you doing?" "I'm doing great. How long did it take to build this place?" "About a week. I don't exactly need to sleep anymore. Please take better care of yourself." "I should say the same to you." She laughed. "It feels so good to have an actual bed. I just hope Chio's alright." The regime was making use of her quirk to the extreme. "Chio? Recovery girl. We went to medical school together. She did a double major into heroics as well." "Amazing." "Indeed. I wish I could chat. But there are things I need to do." "I'm just glad you're okay." "Thank you for everything, Izuku." "You're going to fight him?" "Yes. Toshinori is a tyrant, and they all must fall. Godspeed to you, young man." He smiled as he left the room. Native was already back at full strength, with Mirko not far behind. Truth be told, he spiked his food with regeneration and saturation potions, in order to speed up his recovery the most. Because he was the linchpin to his entire plan. "Alright, Native, do you think you're ready? This is the terms for living here? All I want is a favor. I won't tell you to do anything. But I did rescue you from prison, so all I ask is for you to find my allies. Give me a list, and I'll track them down. Here." He gave the hero a list of Class A's names. "I also want you to find Izuku Yagi's location. Don't try to retrieve her. I am giving you a map of all of my portals within Tokyo. Direct each of the people on the list to them, so they can make their way to me. This fortress is the center of all the roads. It's easy once they know where they are going." "Izuku Yagi? She's an easy one. Toshinori isn't allowing her to leave the rebuilt Hero Commission Tower. I met her a year ago, so I'm always tracking her." "Thank you. Get the others on the list, and we'll be even." "Don't worry, I will." "Good." He left the room, eager to start working against the man who betrayed his principles. Mirko was in the room as well, bored beyond her mind. "Ugh, why does he get to do something? You still need to recover." He was ready. "Besides, there is nothing you can do on your own. That's how you always worked, right?" Face it, Mirko, you cannot win this war alone. You have to adapt. Which is why I am going to train you personally when you are recovered." "Training? From a kid? You rely on your legs too much. I want you to be able to fight with all parts of your body well, even under the toughest of circumstances. I have a foolproof plan that will train you with weapons to extend your reach, the instincts to strategize, and overcome any obstacle. By my estimation, you will be ready tomorrow. Understood?" "Yes." "Good, rest now, it'll be the last time in a while." Toshinori was perplexed by the explanation of events. So, he only arrived for one of them? Which one? Sir, he was after the ex-pro hero native. Why? What was his quirk? His quirk has the ability to track anyone based off of one piece of information. He found Stain from an audio recording, and those he has met he can keep track of permanently. It's useless in combat, but excellent for manhunt. I see. But why would the mistake need him? He knows where we are. Perhaps he needs to find other people? It would make the most amount of sense. Which of the others were with him? Mirko was kept in the same cell, so that was a freedom by coincidence. And prisoner Yushuna Kaikoshi was also freed by him. She was used as a hostage due to her personal connection with him. Personal connection? She was a nurse at Aldera Middle School. Which is where Izumi and the mistake went to. She has made several protests to your anti-quirkless legislation. Probably due to her experience with Technoblade. Indeed. Is there anyone else of note with connections with Izuku? The guard did a quick search on the main database, and reported his findings. There is a young girl by the name of Iri. She was the main victim in the Shihusaki's quirk erasure drug incident. He was apparently her bodyguard and they developed a close bond. Where is she now? She was Izumi's responsibility, due to the girl's trust. But that responsibility fell to Shota Izawa. I want a meeting with him at the tower tomorrow. For now I have to check on something else. Keep up the good work. The guard nodded, and went back to what he was doing before. Meanwhile, Katsuki was in more pain. The experimental arms dug into his flesh, and put enormous strain on his bones. His bloody tears ran down his face, but the tech staff did nothing to alleviate it. Toshinori arrived, and he quickly wiped them away. How are the arms working? Not too well yet. It'll take practice. I'm sure you can do it. Thanks. Is something wrong? Something is wrong, isn't it? It hurts. I can feel every connection, and my bones feel like they're being crushed. They didn't give you painkillers? To the scientists, he chided them. Come on you guys, can't you get any painkillers for him? He's not an experiment, go. Get some. I'm sorry Katsuki. It's not your fault, All Might. He could tell that he was still defeated inside. I know. If you can master your arms, I'll let you get revenge on those who put you down when you were younger. Would you like that? Revenge? Didn't Mitsuki always tell you that you weren't strong enough? Yes. Then you deserve a reward if you can pull through this and master them. They are the top of the line engineering. You'll be stronger than before. I will. I will beat him. I will kill that Deku. Yes. Use your anger to triumph over all who doubted you. Sir. Yes, my boy. I have a new costume design I'd like for you to prepare. And I'll need some weapons. Anything. Here it is. After giving the details, Toshinori grinned. No problem, I'll pass it along to the UA support group. You focus on getting stronger, I'll focus on helping you along the way. He nodded, then went to sleep, exhausted from the pain. Toshinori left, confident in the fact that he had secured his most valuable weapon's loyalty. To think, the mistake knew these tactics far before me. I'm glad I read Sun Tzu just like him. I'll be able to counter his strategies. If he thinks like I believe he will. Native performed admirably, and brought all of Class A to the Nether. Leading them forward, they were awed by the new fortress. When did he have the time? I don't know. All I know is that he wanted me to bring you here. They entered it and were relieved by the air conditioning. It even has AC. How does he power it? I don't know. As they walked through the complex, Mirko limped past them. Native was astounded. What happened? Training. I need to get better. I've been imprisoned far too long. Heading to Nurse Kaikoshi? No, just to bed. As she talked, her wounds seemed to heal before their eyes. He gave me something to help. See you later. Later. Native finally led them to the main center room of the fortress. And found Izuku sitting at the other side of a round table. I see you've returned, Native. I brought the list. Good. You can stay if you want, but you no longer owe me. Right. I'll stay for now. I would like Mirko to be here. Could you fetch her for me? She just went to rest. Okay, then can you get her in an hour then? Sure. Thank you. He then talked to everyone. Please, take a seat. There are more than enough here. Why did you call us? I wanted you to know that if you need a haven, this place is available. It has many amenities, from training gyms, to even Wi-Fi back to the overworld. Amazing. I also wanted to consult with each of you the plan I have moving forward. I am going to create a syndicate, with each of you as founding members. What difference does this have to his regime? The syndicate's members are equal. Nobody leads, and action is based on consensus or if you want to do something. Notice this table? In Arthurian legend, he used a round table for a similar purpose, as even though Arthur was a king, his knights had equal say. You won't force us to do anything? I'm glad to see you take my teachings to heart, Kirishima. No, nobody will be forced to do anything. Mirko and Native have already agreed to join, but I wanted to ask you all as well. Everyone in the room agreed to join. If it works like you say it will, then we will have nothing to worry about. It will rely on everyone's trust. Because if one of us turns traitor, we all are at risk. Not that I expect that to happen, but it is still a possibility. Even with that, they all agreed. Good. As of right now, all members in this room are now a part of the syndicate. Our goal is to eradicate the regime and liberate Japan. Give it the true freedom it deserves. Is that understood? Everyone nodded. Great. Now, I have to ask, what is currently going on out there? Native has been the only one to leave the Nether into the overworld. Well, you know that All Might has imprisoned political prisoners, but what you probably don't know is that he is basically doing the same thing to the families of heroes and to quirkless individuals as well. That would not surprise me. Using leverage such as hostages or fear is how a dictator functions. They have been building something massive in southern Japan. Sue, you actually went there. They're building some kind of massive camp, similar to a mining structure, Ribbit. Its purpose isn't really known yet. I see. Trainloads of quirkless have been shipped there, forced to work on the construction of the place. And probably will end up working there. Just like the Nazis and Soviets. Alright. It seems that disrupting this would be in our best interests. Hagakure, Sato, and Saru volunteered immediately. Good. I'll leave it to you three. Jiru spoke up next. I've been monitoring their communications networks. Currently, All Might's attention is diverted between three things: keeping control of the country as he solidifies his power, a project referred to under the code name Dream, and bringing some VIP to his tower. What's the VIP's name? They're only referred to as Iri. She's a victim from the Shihisaki raid. She is a young girl, only 6 years old, with a powerful quirk. She needs to be saved. However, I was planning on breaking into there anyway. I need to save my mother, after all. She's a prisoner against her will, and if they are both there, then I no longer need to locate them both. I'm going. Anyone else want to? Urakai immediately volunteered. I do. I was one of the people who took care of her before the war. Anyone else? Sue also volunteered. Good. Is there anything else that requires attention? Just a question, have you been sending notes to us? What kind of notes? Here. Kirishima pulled out a note, saying do not falter. Help Izuku when the time is right. Interesting. I received one too, right before my arrest. Anyone else? Everyone had received at least one note. I don't know what the cause is, but until we get more, we have to focus on the tasks before us. To those not coming on these, feel free to relax and choose a room here. Jiru, you've been keeping an ear out for their communications? I managed to locate and synchronize their main frequencies to a few devices. If you would like to move the necessary gear here, we will always have connection as long as there is a portal here. I think I will. This place will be well defended. Don't forget to ask if you need help. Right. Momo? Todoroki? Do you mind? Sure? Right. Izuku wrapped up the meeting. Alright. We have our objectives. Best of luck to each of you. Prepare for our missions, and we'll start with the reconnaissance tomorrow. They all disbanded, exploring the new base of operations as they prepared for their future tasks. Toshinori waited in his office, overlooking the rest of Tokyo from his white and shiny tower. It was a beautiful view, one he admired often as he reminded himself of why he did what he did. The people will continue to be threatened by the deadbeats of society. It is only I, the symbol of peace, who can bring true peace and safety to all. His thoughts were interrupted by the elevator's ping, announcing his guest's arrival. 2 guards escorted Eraserhead and Eri to him, then stood at the side. You 2 can go. I trust these 2. He smiled as warmly as he could, due to his gaunt, skeletal face, made it look like a grimace. That frightened the young girl. You have no reason to be afraid. I've just heard so much about you from Eraser. I wanted to meet you in person. She still didn't trust him, and Eraserhead narrowed his eyes. What did you want, Yagi? Now. I want you to move Eri into permanent residence inside the building. Why? Because the mistake values her. You are using her as a hostage? Have you lost your mind? The heat of the argument made Eri hide behind Aizawa, and start to cry. Aizawa, calm down. All I want is for this mess to be over with, but until then, I must request that Eri stays here. It's my guarantee that he doesn't detonate the building. I don't like to do this, but I must. You won't let me stay here with her, will you? No, I have some important assignments I need you to take care of. Inko will take care of her for the time being. Fine. But after this all blows over, I am taking her far from here. If that is what you want, I will not stop you. I will take her to Inko though. Don't forget the files. He pushed forward the files on his next assignments. Don't make me regret this, Yagi. Oh, don't worry, you won't. Inko still waited in her room. She hadn't been allowed to leave, and Toshinori forced her to wear quirk cancellors so that she couldn't teleport away. Sighing, she lay on the chair facing the city view. Until there was a knock at the door. Not moving, she called out, "Who is it?" To her surprise, it was Aizawa. "It's me, Inko." Guards let him and an adorable little girl into the room. "Hello Eri." She hid behind him. Aizawa spoke kindly to her. "Eri, don't worry. You remember Izumi and Techno, right? This is their mother." Slowly approaching, Inko offered a hug, one which Eri accepted. "What happened?" "Toshinori is making her stay here as a hostage. Against Izuku." "Yes. I have been sent to do some things, but I am taking her far away from here after this is over." "I understand. She will be staying with you in the meantime. I promise to keep her safe. I know you still have a heart. Do your best." To Eri, he said, "Don't worry, Snowflake. I'll be back before you know it, and we'll go explore the world. Would you like that?" She nodded. "Inko will keep you safe. Try to stay with her." I'll be back soon." She nodded again, this time with tears running down her face as Aizawa left the room, and the door locked once more. Inko hugged her as she sobbed, trying to comfort her. It's okay. I'm here." Hagakure, Sato, and Sero camped on top of the mountain top, overlooking the work camp. The heroes enforced their order through a variety of methods, all of them brutal. "So, what do you think is the best strategy?" "I could create a diversion, although it wouldn't last very long in all honesty." "It's too risky." Hagakure thought aloud. "Do you still have those detonators that Izuku gave you?" Sero responded, "Yeah. 13 in total." "This is a stealth mission then. You have a plan?" "I do." "Alright, Sato, you'll be watching from a distance. Sero and I will make our way into the place, stick some charges to important equipment and buildings, then let her rip when we're out of the blast zone." "Sounds good." I'm not a very stealthy person anyways. The duo snuck down into the area, carefully avoiding patrols and barbed wire as they entered the complex. They split up after checking if the comms worked. Hagakure entered the main garage, where she put in the explosives, checking to make sure they were live, and moved on. Things seemed to be going smoothly until a helicopter arrived to the open area, and a VIP, or someone with that impression, stepped off. All she could see from that distance was a green hoodie, a white mask, and cargo pants. A rifle was slung over their back. This mission is cancelled, we need more intelligence on the new arrival. I almost have the last charge on though. Don't do anything stupid, Sero. However, just then, the hoodied person noticed something and pointed it out to the other guards. They rushed and Sero called out. Damn it, how'd he see me? He tried to run, but the hooded person slowly brought his rifle to bear. Then fired a single shot, straight through his leg. Slowly walking to him, Sero tried to crawl away, but was unsuccessful, as he was dragged up into the air by his throat. Their metal hand causing him to bleed slightly as the pressure on his throat made it hard to breathe. The voice was softer, but commanding. Where are your friends? It was an air of calm that put everyone on edge. I'll never tell you. So there were others here. To a commanding officer he told them, go, search for more. They nodded and left, leaving the hooded man with Sero. Hagakure watched with bated breath as he gripped Sero's throat. Where are they? I'll never tell. Are you really that determined, Sero? How do you know me? All he did was take off his mask. Hagakure couldn't see what Sero did, but he was wide-eyed. You are a traitor to everything being a hero stands for. I did what I had to. For everyone. It's not my fault you are too blind to help build the world you want. Maybe I'll do what Izuku failed to do, at least I'll go out, with a bang. Sero pressed the detonator, which detonated all of the armed charges. Toru was only able to get out of the way as the digger next to her exploded. After the series of detonations, she looked around, finding the hooded person perfectly fine, while Sero was blown to pieces. Guards rushed to him, bringing Sato with them. Sir, we have 24 casualties and 44 injured. We captured his accomplice. He turned and looked at him. You're also not going to tell where your friends are? He remained silent. Well, then, take him away, put him with the others. Repair what can be salvaged. When they left him alone, he turned to look around, stopping at Hagakure's position for a second, and she could see his face clearly. It shocked her that he was acting calm and collected. His robotic red eyes seemed to pierce her soul, before moving on, back to where he was initially headed. Bakugo. What happened to you? Izuku waited at a building across from the ivory tower, with Uraka and with Sue. How are we doing this? This'll be a quick in and out operation. He pulled out a ballista, a complex device made from wood, rope, and metal. This ballista will fire a harpoon into the building. We go in, rescue Inko and Diri from where I know they are, and get out just as quickly. How do you know where they are? I received a note. This person is very helpful. I don't like it. It's too easy. It's the best plan we've got, though, Ribbit. Unfortunately, it's the best I can come up with. Here, take these. They'll get you up the rope as quickly as possible. He handed them one gadget each, an automated zipline. A helicopter was leaving from the top of the roof. He may be gone. This is the best chance we have. Setting up ballista. Izuku set it down on the floor, and calibrated its aim. He also bolted it into the floor. All right, ready. Fire. It fired the massive harpoon, arcing through the air, and penetrating the white stone of the building. The mechanisms pulled the rope taut, allowing for the automated ziplines to go up. I'll go first. Shouldn't I? I can nullify gravity. Yes, but I can't die. What? It's a secret. Okay. Izuku looped the gadget onto the rope, and pressed on. It accelerated him across the gap, up and to the window. He pulled out his sword, and stabbed the glass below him. It shattered, allowing them entry. Uraka followed close, with Sue last into the building. There were no alarms, and they found a shocked Inko. "Mater. It's good to see you. Izu?" She ran over and hugged him, crying. "What's the matter?" They moved the little girl. "Somehow they knew you were coming, or Toshinori. Oh God, maybe he will use her like the Yakuza." Izuku was furious. "We didn't come equipped to storm this place. We will have to withdraw. I feel so terrible. We won't leave empty-handed. Just that all of the possible objectives are not fulfilled. I can't go. If you take me, then Eri will be alone. But we need you. Izu, she needs me more." He gritted his teeth. "Very well. I understand having a duty higher than myself. I have a note for you from a mysterious eye." Izuku took it and read it quickly. "All right. I see, things have changed. I'm sorry I cannot rescue you right away, Mater. What does it say?" "Well, let's just say, an old ally is back in the fold. And learn some new tricks. Come on. I have a new objective for now." They slid back down the line and cut it just as guards came to check on her. Since she wasn't gone, they organized to have the window replaced with a more durable variant. Looking back, Izuku wondered if he made the right choice, but no matter the cost, he had to find the coordinates on that note. It would change the course of the Japan's future. The syndicate met back at their round table. Izuku started off with a report on his mission. "Right, my mission wasn't a success on the initial objectives. That being, to save Inko and Eri from Toshinori. However, we have something just as useful. Information on what Toshinori is up to. It sounds like he is attempting to use Eri in the same way that Overhaul did." Everyone was furious at him, Ochako even muttering, "Bastard. I have more news, but I'd like to hear how your mission went, Hagakure." With the silence of her peers, Hagakure quietly asked, "Izuku. What did you do to Bakugo?" "I cut off his arms and stabbed his eyes out." Panic laced her voice, "But you left him alive?" Satisfaction laced his voice as he responded, "I did. I wanted him to feel the pain." Sero blew himself up trying to take down Katsuki. Incredulity peaked in his voice after hearing that. "How?" Katsuki spotted him as he was setting the last charge. He detonated it to try to kill him. It didn't work. Sato was also captured. "And you know it's him? I would recognize his face anywhere. I'm lucky he didn't see me. He has new eyes, right?" "Yes. He could have let you go intentionally. Which means he's only begun to grow in more ways than one." A worrying thought. "You said you had news?" "I do. Remember the notes from I?" "Yes. The mysterious notes. They knew I was going to Inko, and sent her a note. They are an ally that wants to help us, and sent us coordinates. I am going there to get them. Whoever wants to come can. Will this work out like last time? I've checked the coordinates. It's in the middle of nowhere, but I can't let a possible ally remain out there away from us. They're able to send messages, but need us to help them." Jiro asked the question on everyone's mind. "How do we know this isn't a trap?" "I know it's not a trap." "How?" "That's private." Sue asked him this time, "We have to know all of the information, Izuku." He looked over the note. "Even if I told you everything I think it says, you would not believe me. I am going whether you want to or not." Hagakure couldn't believe what she was hearing. "You are the best chance we have to win this conflict. Don't leave us for this wild goose chase." The room was silent as the tension cut the room in two camps. His voice was dangerously quiet. "Right. Is that how you see me? As a weapon?" Toru backtracked from her near mistake. "No, but you are the one who predicted all of this. You warned us when we didn't listen. And I don't want you to fall to something you didn't predict." Izuku sighed, taking stock in his peers' words. The advice was perfectly sound. "That's fair. All right, let me tell you all my biggest secret, just so you can be at ease." They listened intently. "I cannot die by unnatural causes. Poison, stab wounds, exsanguination, etc. When I die, My body disappears and I revive at the last bed I slept at. However, quirk-canceling cuffs cancel this effect, so you all did save my life at the execution. That's why you offered to go first on the rope. And why you fear basically nothing. Yes. I have no reason to fear death other than old age. That's broken. And Toshinori doesn't know that. They all smiled in relief. I admit, I feel better knowing that you're not at risk. I'm honored you all think so highly of a bastardized such as myself, but right now we need to focus. I will go investigate the coordinates, and if you don't want to go, I have the next step planned if you want to enact it. Sure, your plans have all gone swimmingly, last one the big exception. Good. Here it is, you will divide into groups of 4, and start smuggling out families of key heroes who could help us when the time is right. I originally was going to use Izuku in this plan, but things needed to change. Each of you will get a map with a different portal on it, just in case you are captured, that way the whole network isn't compromised. The most important ones are the ones who have quirks according to these lists. They are separated into positions of power, quirks, family location, and of course, proximity to the portals. Decide who you will save and coordinate your efforts. This cannot be done all at once. Consider it done. Izuku cautioned against overconfidence, not until they're free. What do we do with them? They can't go out into Japan. I have a refugee area that I developed until I can get the portal to Russia open. Native can show you. Alright. Izuku walked through the nether, placing a path along his route as he navigated towards where he knew the coordinates would be. Kirishima joined him this time, the sole person to help him out. As Izuku worked, he started a conversation with the dyed redhead, trying to lighten the bleak mood they carried. It's surreal just how ridiculous our lives have become. He snapped out of his thoughts, what do you mean? We are literally charting a course through hell to reach random coordinates in order to help an ally against a totalitarian dictator. Tell me this doesn't sound outlandish. You're right. But it doesn't take away from reality. You really have lost your humorous side. It's hard to be positive right now. Well, your positivity was one of the best parts about you. You were an emotional anchor, before you became a strategic one. You've done amazingly with the hand the world has given you. Take that in stride. He smiled at his sensei's praise. I will. The path of leadership is a hard one, it involves strengthening morale, creating strategies, and keeping everyone as safe as possible. The fact that nobody died until recently is a miracle, given what we're going against. Yeah, I just wish Sero and Sato were still here. As do I, Kiri. As do I. Just then, Izuku stopped. Right. I'll need to construct a portal. Stand back. Kirishima watched as he placed cubes of obsidian with his quirk. It was incredibly easy for Izuku, pointing a hand at where he wanted it, then a flick of his hand to place the block. Your quirk is just too damn good. It's a curse for me, Kirishima. I'm now separated from Tenka until I reach old age. That's if my quirk isn't taken away. He placed the last block, then looked at him. You doubt your own quirk? The tools you make can make mine worthless. Not true. Huh? Your quirk gives you the properties of stone. Your hero training has made you stronger than when we last fought. Your current strength at default is the obsidian I use for the portal here. He gestured to it. You realize that I can't fight you and win without major preparation? And that's not even counting your unbreakable move. My quirk's only option is to outlast you, and it doesn't give me extra stamina. Don't discount yourself, Kirishima. You are far stronger than I am in raw power. Same with most of your classmates, as I fight quirkless. The only reason I can stand a chance against Toshinori, is because of my mind. And the resurrection part of my quirk. Even my crafting capability is outclassed by Momo, as her creation quirk can make literally anything, while I am limited in what I can make. You all are ready for this conflict, and far stronger than I. The fact you all saved me proves it. What about Sero? Sero made one serious error in judgment, but that, unfortunately, is all it takes to be fatal. He was a smart man with a unique ability which was a great utility. It's a damn shame what happened to him. Come on, let's not waste time on the past. He quickly flicked flint and steel, lighting the portal with a dramatic gesture. We have work to do. Kirishima nodded, and entered the portal, followed by Izuku. When they exited the nether, the duo found themselves in front of an old monastery. Did not expect this. Satellite feed indicated there was nothing here. I'll be ready. Good attitude. They approached the building, ready for an ambush of some kind. But it was truly abandoned. So, where's this ally? We're not quite there yet, Kiri. Where else? Izuku noticed something about the wall at the other end of the room. There was one stone out of place. Feeling the wall, Izuku could tell that the rough stone had stood for centuries, to the pre-quark era. He then pressed the stone button, and a mechanism whirred. Kirishima was standing in the middle of the room, on a circular design that started to go down in a spiral staircase fashion. Losing his balance, he fell back and down. Sorry about that. Izuku ran down the stairs, following where his more durable pair fell to. He found him at the bottom, in hardened mode. Damn Izuku, I know your tests are tough, but I don't think I needed one. Hey, that's the Kiri I remember. Here. He held out his hand and pulled him to his feet. Looking around, they found themselves in a room with an intricate portal on the ground. They could tell it was one because there was lava below, and held in some kind of prominence. What is this? I don't know. I've never seen anything like it before. As Izuku studied the frame, he noticed something that was familiar. It looked like an eye, but not from any living thing, and it was also within the portal frame. Izuku took out some blaze powder, and combined it with what was called an ender pearl, creating an eye of ender. When he placed it into one of the available slots, the portal hummed quietly before reverting back to silence. All right, that answers that question. He made enough for the rest of the frame, and the portal activated. A black expanse greeted them. White pinpricks could be seen in the darkness. So, it led us to this portal. Which only you could complete. Well, nothing ventured. They both jumped through to the other side. The stone beneath their feet was alien, strange. A bone white, it was unnatural. They were on a floating platform was only a short distance from the main floating island. Tall pillars of obsidian reached towards the deep purple sky, stars scattered throughout it. Whoa! This is unexpected. Carefully, Izuku built a bridge between where they were and the mainland, carefully avoiding falling into the abyss. Kirishima followed behind, on guard and ready. Black humanoids wandered the place, not heeding them at all. Don't stare at those things. They will attack if you do. Right. They explored this ancient place, reaching a structure made from gray stone. I can't break this down. What? I thought obsidian was the toughest material. I guess not. Then he noticed a village of some sort at the top of the next hill. The duo approached, trying to not provoke hostilities. However, instead of being hostile, the tall humanoids gestured in a direction, like they wanted the two to go to some place in particular. They realized they wanted Izuku to head to a particular structure at the other end of the town. And so, that is where they went. As they did, Izuku was fascinated by the humanoids. I've never seen them act like this. The only time I've seen them is by themselves, and they are typically doing their own thing. And I've never seen them with town structures like this. I'll have to study them later. Approaching the tower, they prepared themselves for what was within, then knocked on the wooden door. There was no response, and so Izuku opened the door. And found the entry hall fit for royalty. Wow! Why did they want us here? A familiar voice called out to them. I am glad you came. They remained silent, slowly entering the place. The door closed behind them. Quiet? Shocked to hear my voice? Izuku. He could make out a figure in the shadow. A woman's silhouette with long, wild hair. Glowing purple eyes and streaks in her hair stood out to him, but the voice contradicted her appearance. Izuku, who is she? After a minute of silent arguing over who would speak first, Izuku spoke to both of them. Soror. It's good to hear your voice. I thought he had obliterated you, but now that I think about it, he knew of the immortality aspect of my quirk. He had planned to trap me far away. But I guess it hit you instead. Izumi. She stepped into the dim light cast by the chandelier. She wore dark green, purple, and black clothes. Her green hair was much darker, with the glowing purple streaks he saw before. Her eyes had changed the most, turning from her emerald green, to glowing purple on a black background, similar to Mina's. Smiling kindly, she responded. I never blamed you for a second, Izuku. I just held out hope that you could rescue me. You saved my soul, now you will save me from this place. Why do those things hold you in such high esteem? The Endermen, as they call themselves, call me their hero because I killed the dragon oppressing them. Fighting dragons? Kirishima was dumbfounded, but Izuku was still calm. Considering all I've done, and what my quirk gives me access to. A dragon is not the most outlandish thing I've seen. Let's get you out of here. The world is not what it once was, but we're trying to make it better. Right, I just need to grab one thing. She left for a moment. Izuku turned to Kirishima. This place has done something to her. Treat her better than you did, because it might just be the isolation. Kirishima nodded. Right, I have it. She held up a birdcage with a small dragon inside. Wow. Is that a baby dragon? I found its egg after killing it. I am raising it. Your responsibility, sis. She smiled, creating the brightest thing within this dimension. Carefully giving the cage to Kirishima, she crashed into him, giving him a hug. You said it. She was crying tears of joy. You called me your sister. You've forgiven me. He reciprocated the gesture. Let me tell you something. I've been calling you sis ever since we rejoined at UA. Guess what soror means? Sister? Her eyes widened. Your actions determined your future. You saved your own soul, just as you saved my life back there. We can't stay here right now. Come on, before Kiri has his hands full with an excited dragon. Yeah. The trio made their way back to the portal, and barely made it back through before it closed, its power spent, and made it back to the Nether. The syndicate was convening that night, reporting on their progress. Izuku had shown Izumi to her room, right next to his own. He let her get acquainted as he heard the reports. Apparently, 3 days had passed between their entry and their exit from that dimension. After hearing that they had successfully rescued most of the families from the hero section surrounding the ivory tower, Izuku clasped his hands together. Well, you doing that in 3 days is a damn miracle, especially considering the security measures in place. How many have defected? A lot have given up, not knowing where their families are. We can't afford to tell them, either. They will either give up, or fight with all they have. With your successful efforts, we will be able to push up the assault on Toshinori himself. What do you think? I think we all want to move that up. Good. Before that, however, Kirishima and I met the individual known as I. Would you like to meet them? Everyone agreed, eager to meet the one who had helped them with advice and tips throughout the month of resistance. All right. Soror. Come on in. Her shoes clacked against the stone floor as she entered the room. Everyone looked behind Izuku, who was seated in front of the door. Their expressions confusion, shock, and awe were hilarious to Izuku as he formally introduced their guest. May I present to you, more powerful and stronger than before. Izumi Yagi, my sister, your peer, and our eye. She is ready and willing to join us. Will you let her join the syndicate? The vote was unanimous, and she sat at Izuku's right side, at the last open chair. It's good to be back, everyone. It would be my honor to join you against Toshinori. So, what's the plan? Katsuki Bakugo followed Toshinori to his laboratory. He believed it was to get an arm upgrade, perhaps he could regain his explosive capabilities. But that was not why he was there. I am going to show you the next step in our peace enforcement. Do you remember what the Yakuza were up to so long ago? I do. Quirk suppressants. Indeed. I have found a way to manufacture them quickly, but it's unreliable. I need you to guard our greatest asset until we can isolate their genome sequence. Until then, the project will fail. Can you do this? Of course I can. Good. Let me introduce you. He opened the door, and Katsuki was face to face with Eri. You are with a child? Making her relive everything? Which is why I want you here. You will do what he did, and things will be much smoother. If we can erase quirks, then we no longer have to worry about the rebels. We can stop them much easier, and with minimal risk. I have my faith in you, Katsuki. Don't disappoint. Toshinori left, leaving the two together. Katsuki looked down at the little girl, as she was terrified of him. In response, he ruffled her hair a second, then sat down. She sat down on a chair next to his, and fell asleep. Watching her sleep for what seemed like the first time in ages, Katsuki thought about his life. And her. Is this what Izuku did when he was with the Yakuza? All this time, I thought he was just this weak little brat. He isn't weak anymore. He's never been bratty, and he's taller than me. Not only that, but he's seen the bigger picture. Katsuki noticed the bandages on her limbs. She never deserved this. I just don't know what to do anymore. The syndicate were to make themselves well known today. But while they were preparing, Izumi wanted to apologize to one more person. One she hadn't seen since she went to UA. That being, Nurse Yushuna Kenkoshi. She rested, and Izumi knocked quietly on her door. Come in. She opened the door, and quietly stepped into the room. Hello young one. Hi. What's your name? Can you make a promise to me first? Sure? I'm not proud of who I used to be. I hate them, and what they believed. And I caused a lot of pain. To Izuku. And to you, in the end. Can you promise to give me a second chance? She squinted. Who are you? Please. I can tell by your voice. That you have a lot of inner pain. That you hold true regrets. And I promise I will give you a second chance. My name is Izuku Yagi. She sighed. You grew up. Finally. Was it because Izuku knocked some sense into you? When Izuku tried to commit. When he ran away. I reflected on what it meant to be a family. For all of us. Mom couldn't handle it, and it tore her up, just as my own regrets did that to me. Well, if Izuku forgives you, like I heard he did, then I have no reason to hate you. I forgive you. Thank you. Now, go beat some sense into your father. Izumi laughed gently. Yeah. Like he'll listen now. I'll try. Good girl. Bakugo was at his room within the tower. Chained and pinned to the wall was his mother, Mitsuki, and she was furious with the gag forced onto her mouth. Toshinori had been true to his word, and given her to him as a reward. The person who is supposed to support him, who always called him weak, never enough, was right there. It would have been so easy to start the torture. But no matter how much he wanted to, he couldn't. He sat down on the end of the bed, opposite her. I have been thinking lately. I had the time, and every time I think about you, all I have is one question: why? She stopped trying to yell through the gag and tilted her head in confusion. Was I never enough? Was there something you saw in me that you couldn't stand? Why did you? You always cared for Izumi, for Izuku. But yet you still called me weak, pathetic, even before you knew what I did. I had a great work, I was top of my class, and yet I wasn't enough. So why? A single tear streaked down his face. You beat me, but showed so much care for everyone else. You called me names, drove me to prove myself through my insecurities. Everyone else saw me for my work, but you didn't even seem to see me as human, as your son, so why? He stood up and approached her. A mother doesn't act like you. I hate you. He punched, cracking the wall next to her head. Even though I hate you. I can't bring myself to hurt you. I fail every time I try. Both you, and Izuku. His tears streamed down faster and faster as his emotions flared. I just don't know why the world seems to hate me so much. I was only seen for my quirk, which he took from me. I'm trying my best to be the person everyone wants, but I can't. I just can't. The metaphorical dam broke, and he sobbed into his mother's shoulder. Her eyes were wide, as she only now realized the pressure he was under to be the best. And how she had inadvertently broken him. God, Inko and I are terrible mothers. I'm worse for not realizing it until now. I know you hate me. I hate you too. But I can't bring myself to actually feel that hatred. He sighed, wiping away his tears. I am going to let you go. Heroes don't torture their parents. And I want to be a hero. Alright, here is the plan. Because Toshinori knows that I have portals throughout the place, and that I have used them in tactics before, he'll expect something similar to a foe's engagement. That is not how we are going to operate. We are going to have a full-on revolution. And make it hard for them to fight back. I also have improved gear for all of you. Are you ready? Yes. Each syndicate member went through a different portal, inspiring open rebellion from citizens tired of living without their civil liberties. And heroes were now having a tough time keeping the peace. Without police forces, only heroes to try to keep things calm, the people knew exactly who deserved their ire. Those who would fight back were armed with gear. Those who weren't were just told to leave or stay out of their way. The resistance was effectively enclosing the heroes in a massive circle. They were unable to do much, not wanting to hurt the people they were duty-bound to protect, while at the same time forced to confront them. Many corrupt heroes took this in stride, but many pros couldn't fight them back, and let themselves be captured. Izumi and Izuku strode together towards the Hero Commission building. Jiru and Kirishima were a part of their group, as their logistical support. At the first sign of true trouble, they would leave for their teammates, in order to gain reinforcements. Each group from the syndicate, as they roused the people in revolution, were to follow that pattern. 2 frontline fighters, 2 logistical supports. Things are going well for everyone. Jiru reported. Good. We're almost at the accursed tower. Izuku responded back. However, the perimeter around the tower ahead had defenses set up. Both automated and human. They were already active. 2 groups had made it ahead of them. It made it difficult to deal with, as many of the syndicate didn't have quirks or gear to take them on. Hagakure's and Ida's groups are pinned down. Uraka's throwing rubble at the walls, but she's not able to keep up with them. Right, Kirishima, Jiru. I think it's best if you reinforce them. You should still have some dynamite I gave you. They nodded, and departed, going their separate ways. You know what I'm thinking? It's risky. And completely unexpected by the enemy. Especially with you here. You've unlocked Mother's telemetry, correct? I have. My time in that place had been a great training ground. To get back to our roots. Just give me a moment. As she focused, purple particles swirled through the air, rising from the ground around the 2 of them. With her eyes closed, she reported to him. We will be arriving in the middle of the courtyard, behind the defenses. Prepare, 3, 2, 1. They both shifted to the place. They, both with swords drawn, against at least 40 people. Izumi smiled calmly at the situation. So, they outnumber us 20 each, huh? Izumi smiled, then it is an even fight. We win these. She charged up with purple lightning as she tensed for battle. Izuku brought out potions of strength and speed, waiting for an invisible signal to begin. Then tossed the bottles on the ground, dousing the 2 of them in their effects as they ran to begin the fight. The fight turned out to be a slaughter. Those who didn't give up were killed outright, often faster than they could react. Very few could injure the duo with their armor, and even fewer caused lasting damage after Izuku used a regeneration potion out of annoyance. As they finished those groups, the walls to the east and west detonated, signaling the arrival of reinforcements. Perfect? Are we late? We only just finished off these people. How is everyone? No casualties among us, but a lot of revolutionaries got hurt from the defenses. I see. Can you hold all of Toshinori's troops inside the building? I'd like to help the wounded. Sure thing. Izumi, can you help them? She nodded, sure. Kirishima walked alongside Izumi towards the rest of the group. Look, Izumi. I'm sorry for how I treated you back then. We judged you on what you did, not who you were. It's okay, Kirishima. If I were in your position, I probably would have done the same thing. I just want to start over, if it's alright with you. Of course. All I wanted was for Izuku to forgive me, but he has done so much more. I would be a hypocrite if I refused your apology. Let's put it behind us. Great. Izuku had given the last of the revolutionaries medical treatment. Heading back, the voices he pushed aside constantly came back with a vengeance. You ignore us. For months we speak, yet you do not listen. Because of that, you failed Tenka. They were causing a headache, so he went by himself for a moment. When he was out of sight and earshot, he leant against a wall, and slid down to sit. Clutching his ears, he tried to at least quiet them a little. Please. Don't. Jiru walked from those who were recovering, looking for her classmates to plan the next move. However, a new noise caught her attention. Peeking around the corner, she found Izuku curled up, as if trying to block out non-existent noise. Izuku? He didn't hear her, so she slowly walked towards him. Placing a hand on his shoulder, he turned to look at her, nearly jumping at the interruption. Are you alright, Izuku? Sorry. Why are you apologizing? You've seen me like this. What is wrong with that? He looked up at her. Our emotions, how developed they are, how varied and unique we express them, make us human. You're not weak for breaking down. I'm amazed you've never done so earlier. Earlier I had Tenka. And Monday. Your support has been taken from you. She offered him a hand. Don't forget we can support you too. You showed us what really matters. Friends, family, freedom. And you are basically family to most of us. Thanks. He accepted the help and got to his feet. Pulling something out of his inventory, he spoke again. Can I ask a favor? What is it? I am not the most stable of people. I am probably schizophrenic, and these voices demand blood. It's so hard to resist them. If I lose my mind, I need you to give these to Izumi. She is probably the only one with the strength to stop me, and these will stop me from coming back. You're asking me to help kill you? Only if I go completely mad. It's that bad. Yes. I don't know what will happen after Toshinori's fall, so this is for if the worst happens. Right. Come on, Izumi and the rest are waiting. Katsuki watched as the battle occurred outside the building. Knowing what is going to happen next, he went back to the wall where Mitsuki was chained up. It's time for you to go. He pulled the chains apart, freeing her from her makeshift prison. She fell to her knees, and carefully got to her feet. What will you do now? What I should have done before. Go get Auntie Yanko, she's just down the hall. He put on his mask, and left in the opposite direction. Wait. Katsuki turned. What? I know I've been terrible to you. A different kind than what Toshinori or Inko were to their own kids, and I just wanted to say this, you've grown. You still have the morals I tried to instill. And that makes me proud. Go do what you believe is right. Katsuki turned away, crying slightly inside the mask, not responding to her, and continued on the path he had no choice but to follow now. Izumi and the rest waited outside the ivory tower. Sorry about my late arrival. I had some things to take care of. No worries, Izuku. Alright, everyone, you will check the building, look for Iri, Inko Midoriya, and more recently, Mitsuki Bakugo. All three are prisoners, so that way we couldn't destroy the building from the outside. Meanwhile, Izumi and I will go directly to Toshinori. Right. Jiru approached Izumi and whispered something into her ear while the rest were distracted, slipping her the quirk-destroying bullets. Understand? Izumi nodded, before pocketing them. They all entered the building, and found little resistance. The majority of the forces were defending the wall, which had already fallen. The elevator opened on its own. I guess that's ours now? Izuku turned to the rest. We need to get to the top as quickly as possible. We'll need the elevator. Right. Stairs yet again. Several complaints were heard, but other than that, there were no refusals. The twins boarded the elevator, and turned back to them. Good luck everyone. Izuku looked proud at the group as the door closed in front of them. Izumi and Izuku rode the elevator to the top of the tower, silence filling the void. A glance, a nod back. No words needed to be said to each other. It would be their final waltz with their past. However, the elevator stopped for a moment, and a new voice filtered through the speaker. I'm not stopping you for long. I just need this to be said. You have to stop Toshinori. He's lost his goddamn mind. Izumi seemed to recognize the voice. Uncle David? Izumi? We can talk later. I can't do anything overt, but I can help when it's absolutely necessary. He has Melissa, so I can't help unless you will win. Understood. I wish I at least met you before all of this, as an uncle. We'll see about afterwards. I have to go, but you'll see me up there. The radio cut out, and the elevator resumed its ascent. Ah, good, you've arrived. Toshinori spoke with fake jubilance. He had Eri on his lap, holding her there tightly. She was desperately afraid. Katsuki looked at the duo, waiting against the wall. David Shield gave a glance at the boy, then prepared for the guests. A barrier appeared in between Toshinori's desk and the two new arrivals. You were expecting us? The battle stopped outside. Which means that either we won, or you did. The fact you have Eri as a hostage really makes me believe you lack faith in your own forces. No. I just know what kind of unstoppable force you are. Her presence is a precaution. Izumi couldn't help but be disgusted. You're a coward, Toshinori. Who's this, your new girl after that villain? The two glanced at each other before laughing their heads off. Oh, that's too good. I would be disgusted of myself if I even had the thought. He was clearly confused. Why are you laughing? Should we tell him? No, might as well keep him in the dark, just like he kept us. Very well. Well, that doesn't really matter now that you will both die. I will cherish your death, mistake. If only your mother was here. Izuku muttered under his breath, if she was, we'd be having a full reunion. What was that, brat? Nothing you need concern yourself with. Be that way. Katsuki. Kill them both. Katsuki stood at his feet, walking slowly to the middle of the room. His mask didn't show his true expression, but it was clear he was thinking instead of just acting. How will he move first? A leaping attack? A feint? But instead, he took off his mask, showing a face of regret? Remorse? Unwillingness? Izuku didn't know what to make of it. Of all of the expressions he's seen from Katsuki, this one was a mystery. He sighed, before turning around to face Toshinori. You want to kill him? Do it yourself. I used to think you were a hero. But heroes don't hide behind children. Heroes don't sentence people, not just quirkless, but people, to camps. Heroes don't hate their children for things they don't control. Heroes don't encourage a child to torture their parent. I'm done. You're no hero, Yagi. And all I want to be is one. Toshinori's face scowled more and more as Katsuki proclaimed his new intentions. After he was done, the man asked quietly, is that what you really want, my boy? That's the thing, Yagi, I'm essentially the same as Izuku. And yet you hate him. Do you hate me too, secretly? I can never tell what you really think anymore. And I want nothing to do with that. Very well. I have no choice. He pressed a button on the desk, and two automated turrets sprung up on their side of the energy barrier. They opened fire, chipping away at the temporary cover Izuku built once he figured what he would do. Katsuki asked the two of them, for the first time not angry, just calm. "What do we do? What can you do?" "My rifle can pierce their armor, but I'll need a distraction." "Very well. Izumi." "Of course. I did pick up a trick that they use." Bakugo was stunned. "Wait, Izumi?" She closed her eyes and tilted her head a little in confirmation, her serene smile creeping him out a little. "Can we do this quickly? I'll have to build a new cover if we don't." "Right. Ready." Izumi teleported out of cover, and did a lot of micro-jumps to avoid each bullet, Izuku noting how similar the technique was to the Enderman's avoidance of arrows and raindrops. Amazing. And scary. "Bakugo, now." He calmly aimed at a weak point, a singular joint connecting the left turret to the ceiling, severing the device, making it fall to the floor. One down. Recalibrating. Same result with the right turret. Both down. Good aim. Izuku quickly cleared the debris and faced Toshinori again. "Well, is that everything besides Eri? What of it? Just curious. Did you think we couldn't make a plan?" "I admit, I was relying on Bakugo's help. But I guess his mother was right. He was, and will always be weak." Izumi talked this time. "I have known Katsuki all my life. I admit there were things we definitely disagreed on, what was right and wrong, but he always was strong, whether it be for his beliefs, what he cared about, or physical strength. Even without his quirk, he is a stronger man than you, because he was able to reflect, and become a better person." As Izumi defended him, David Shield was quietly typing at a console, trying to be discreet. She continued, "Well, you are not. And I thought All Might, my father, would try to become the best he could be. I guess I am wrong." His eyes widened. "Izumi? Now you finally recognize me." She was about to teleport him to her when the building shook, and the energy barrier fell. Toshinori demanded answers from Shield. "What is happening?" "I don't know. The generator's down." "No." He thought for a moment. "You worked behind my back, didn't you? Was it because of your daughter?" "No. I didn't. I did everything you asked." Toshinori pulled out a gun, one he hid under the desk, and shot David in the heart. "Just so you know, I heard Melissa didn't last a week at the mine. You and her were such disappointments. I hope you burn in hell, Yagi." Those were his dying words. Turning his attention back to the group, he pointed the gun at Eri's head. "No funny movements." Izumi spoke calmly, "Surrender. You have nothing, nobody to defend you. There is no reason to resist any longer. No. My vision of peace can still be fulfilled. Calm down. There is nothing to be gained. You have no idea how much I've sacrificed." "I don't? I was lower than the low. The sister that bullied my brother to suicide. I took on a second quirk, which was breaking my soul and body apart. I was trapped in another dimension that both stripped me of sanity and gave me power. I have sacrificed much for atonement. And I'd do it all again if I still did that action. Your stubbornness has cost you everything. Respect, family. And now, your morals. Do you understand the consequences of your actions?" Katsuki spoke next. "I believed you all this time. I believed that you had a great vision to help the world, but you brought it down to ruin. And now that I see the ashes, I can only see that it was all a mistake at the start." "You call me a mistake, every time. I feel that is projection, which your insecurities and self-hatred brought forth. You are the mistake, quirkless, alone, and defeated. Give up, and nobody else has to die. I have nothing." He smiled. "Then I have nothing to lose." Izuku realized what he was going to do, before pleading to him no. In that single moment, a gunshot sounded, and time stood still. Only 4 remained. Everyone was speechless, not believing what just happened. Tears started streaming down from underneath Izuku's mask, glinting back at Toshinori as the sun set. Izumi covered her shocked expression, while Bakugo just stared, tears streaming down. Izuku was the first to act, running over to the desk. Toshinori aimed the pistol and fired, but Izuku dodged the bullet and knocked the gun out of his hands. He carefully extracted Iri from Toshinori's grip before kicking him to the floor. No, no. No, no, no. I need a healing potion. He looked through his inventory, scouring for one. Izumi teleported to him. Izuku. She's gone. No, I refuse to give up. Her pulse is already gone. Then CPR. She placed a hand on his shoulder. Izuku, it's too late. He sobbed over Iri's corpse. The bullet had passed through the right side of her head and out the left. Her face was left intact, but if you looked anywhere near the ears, you'd see the bone shards and brain matter. It was clearly too far. Too late. Your inaction had doomed Iri as well. Will nothing convince you of what needs to be done? Iri was too pure. She needed to live. You failed her. You failed yourself. I already know. Izumi could do nothing but sympathize with Izuku. They both took care of the girl as far as she knew, until Katsuki spoke up. Of the little time I knew her, she didn't deserve this. Nobody did. Fucking coward. She turned to him in surprise, while he stared daggers at Yagi. When she looked at him, her gaze turned cold. My father would never do that, especially not in the name of the greater good. My father died back at that party, so long ago. I should have done this when I saw you step into that conference room. That tone made the two of them go cold with fear. It was not the gentle, more human version they knew from his time as their tutor, nor was it the annoyance from dealing with Katsuki. Even though they weren't there, it was far from the fury he showed to Dabi. All restraint was gone. You killed the only innocent person I knew. I loved Tenka, but she wasn't as pure as Iri. She deserved better. To have a good life. But you never gave her a chance. So I'll put you in your place now. The two, Izumi and Katsuki, stepped back reflexively out of fear. When the screaming started, both Toshinori's pained screams, matched only by Izuku's fury, they turned away, not bearing to look at what was happening. The crunch of bones breaking, the stabs into non-vital areas. At one point, he was even partially skinned alive, from what they could tell. It took forever for the blade to be satiated, but when he was, all that remained of Toshinori, was a pile of mush, and he held up his head, Hamlet style. Perhaps I should hang this on my wall. No, there's too much to do. Everyone who supported you, and those who would be inspired by you need to be taken care of first. He turned to them. Don't you agree? Izuku. We've only just won the war. Can't we calm down? Take in the victory? Take in the victory? Every time we've had a victory, I've ended up losing a piece of me. Don't you see that? If we are to achieve freedom, we cannot rest. Blood must be shed, the battle never ends. Izumi's breath hitched slightly as she remembered what Jiru said earlier. He is losing it. He's lost too much. Izuku, you still have me, Mom, and your class. Don't give in to them. Into what? Bakugo was stunned about what was happening. He clutched his head with his free hand. Then stood up straight laughing at them. Tossing Toshinori's severed head, he taunted, grinning madly, who needs sanity when I've got anarchy? He pulled out a blade. No one to trust. If you try to stop me, I'll kill you here. You're not in your right state of mind. I don't want to hurt you. That's funny. They scream and shout, want you dead for what you did to me. That was in the past. They never forgave. Never forgot. And they demand blood. I can no longer ignore them, so I will give them what they want. The chaos to come will be divine. And there is nothing to hold me back. Justice will be blind, and I, its adjudicator, jury, and executioner. Jiru and the rest milled about on the lower floor, exiting the building as the full moon rose towards the sky. I'm surprised we haven't heard from them yet. I know. Should we go up? Just then a shattering window could be heard. Looking up, they saw Izumi and Bakugo falling out of the window. Everyone, to cover. Don't let the glass cut you. They didn't have to worry about catching Izumi, as she teleported to the ground, carrying Bakugo. The class bristled at his presence, But Izumi and Bakugao were more focused on what was happening at the tower. Situations changed. Jiru. It's happened. Her eyes widened. Oh shit. What about him? He came to his senses, and decided that Yagi was wrong. For a variety of reasons. But that's not the important part. I wasn't able to subdue him with the last resort. Shit. This is bad. Kirishima asked them, what's going on? Izuku's been struggling mentally. Voices in his head want blood and vengeance. And now they're in control. What caused it? Toshinori killed Iri in front of us. I'm sorry, can you repeat that? You heard me. And I didn't think anyone could get more evil. The moonlight started to turn red as the earth covered its glow with its own shadow. It broke him, and now. He's the last threat. If he gets away, he'll kill so many. Is it impossible to try to reason with him? I'm afraid so. He exited the tower, sword drawn. The lunar eclipse's red glow in combination with the way he projected power appeared to make his wrath was made manifest. It chilled them all to the core. Jiru called out to him, we know what you plan to do, and it goes against what we all agreed to. We're here for freedom, not for whatever bloodbath you think you want now. It must be done. He tried to walk past them. Don't try to stop me. My inaction has always cost us, and I can stand by no longer. Tenka, Saro, and Iri didn't have to die. Izumi, Katsuki, and Jiru stood in his path. That had nothing to do with you, Izuku. Evil people do evil things. And that is why I must act. Is this what you want? My nemesis, my sister, my legacy? To fight me now? You are not yourself. We all believed in you, but this is not what we believed in. You just don't understand. I'll make you see the truth. They tensed, but he didn't move. There was a moment where you could hear the gentle breeze move the cinched banners of the now broken Yagi regime, or the raging flames from the previous battle. He then jumped high, revealing a tea made of a unique material. He placed down 2 black skulls. Consider this your final test, students. He jumped off, slamming the 3rd and final skull into the center. In a flash of light, another of those creatures was created. They demand blind justice and blood, and I sure as hell won't ignore them anymore, he whispered to himself, even if some of them have nothing better to do than scream me in my head. Smiling back at the group, he happily gave them demented encouragement, good luck. He laughed maniacally as Class A prepared for the fight of their lives. The monster was defeated. That was a certainty, due to our training, learning, adapting, and conquering. What was not so certain was the main fight itself at the time, regardless of how stacked it seemed. Katsuki spearheaded the fight we all had been dreading, while I supported him. It was a dance that he was not fluent in, but still improvised to great effect. Izuku read every move, while Katsuki did his best to be unpredictable, but it wasn't enough for the two of us. Even as more of Class A joined in the fight, it wasn't enough. Izuku was berserk, and a berserker cannot be interrupted, even by death. Even though we outnumbered him 21 to 1, he still beat them back. Quite a few members died that day. Ojiro, Kaminari, Shoji, Mineta, Ida, Koda, Yaozaru, Todoroki. All gone, all dust. Class B arrived to help, but they ended up faring worse. Only Kendo, Setsuna, Kurio, and Ibara survived. I had no choice. I used one of those accursed bullets and stuck one into his back. Katsuki. He sacrificed himself for us. He let himself get stabbed through the heart so he could do the same. To Nemesis until the end, put to rest. This is what you wanted, wasn't it? I haven't been honest with Izuku, because I knew you were there. Watching, reading his mind like an open book, anticipating events as they unfold, influencing our world. But it wasn't enough. You all got what you wanted, the rise of your blood god, the death of Katsuki, Toshinori. Your perfect ending, right? But I believe you are all still unsatisfied. Unsatisfied with the results. Many of you called for blood when Iri died, and still lack catharsis. Even with his death. You are probably wondering how I know of you. I learnt many things during my forced exile. My quirk grew exponentially, unlocking Izuku's capabilities in the process, his interface with the world, and immortality. One with my power would now be called the goddess. But that is just a twist of fate, the result of the inevitable singularity of quirks. I will now be forever alone. Regardless, I've been able to hear you all, goading him to doing certain things, unleashing your rage against us, against those who deserve it or not. You believe your cause to be right, when it is so wrong to hear. Now that Izuku is gone, there is no reason to hide my intentions, is there? I am all that is left. The one entrusted to protect the syndicate, and organize the world's freedom. And that's what I am doing now. I do not believe you are my enemy. Not anymore. You all used to hate me, that much is true. And warranted. But now. You wish me well. But I do not trust this author you refer to. Which is why I now give this ultimatum to them. Leave my world in peace, and I will not be forced to arm this world against you. If you are as strong as I think, then you have many more toys in your grip, and no longer have a use for this one. I can fight back. And I won't hesitate to defend the rest of my family against your ill intentions. You played us as puppets on a stage for their amusement, and I will cut those strings away. You've broken us to the point of no return, and if you continue, there will be consequences. You have been warned, goddess. Do not come back. Connection to Deku world terminated. Re-establishing. Re-establishing. Connection failure. Reason, jamming from deity, world not under author control. World no longer responsive to outside influence. The end. That will be the end of the video. See you never, haha.